Okay, I think we are live. I hope I'm audible. If there's any tech discrepancy from my end, kindly use the chat to let me know that. Okay, I know this was AT Sir's lecture, but due to some personal issues, our lectures are now swapped. So the my live session for tomorrow will be taken over by him, and I'll be taking his live session for today. So then, welcome to the verbal session. Okay, last week, just a quick recap, we had done para jumbles 1 and para jumbles 2. Today's session is continuation of that. How or sentence out or sentence elimination is just a different face of para jumbles. ठीक है, एग्जैक्टली पैरा जम्बल जैसे ही है, पर उसमें से चार पांच जो सेंटेंस आपको क्रोनोलॉजिकली ठीक करना है, बट एक सेंटेंस जो है वो ऑड है. Okay, that has to be eliminated. Now, what is an odd sentence? How is it to be eliminated? Let's go and approach that. Okay, so welcome guys. We'll be discussing theory and then stick till the end because we'll also be solving some questions. Okay, before discussing the approach, you can get 4 to 5 statements. ठीक है, so 4 statements में से odd one out, 5 statements में से odd one out निकालना होगा. Okay, we will practice both of them. So let's learn the approach. So the approach is very similar to para jumbles because the 4 to 5 statements that you will be given will all be jumbled. Okay, they will all be jumbled, so they will be unjumbled. You will have to first unjumble them and then try to find the odd sentence out. So the approach goes as you have to read the given sentences in that order being the jumbled order. Then step 2 would be figuring out what they have in common. So this is a cat level question. ठीक है, ये कैट का सवाल है, इजी तो नहीं होगा. ठीक है, डायरेक्टली एक ऑड वन आउट तो नहीं दिखेगा, तो जो ऑड वन आउट होगा वो भी ब्लेंड करेगा. इट विल हैव अ सिमिलर थीम. ओके, इट विल हैव अ वेरी सिमिलर थीम. So figuring out what they have in common will be easy for you because the theme will be recurrent. Okay, what is the common main idea? Then वो जब मिल जाता है, then we have to check the order. We have to make a confirm the order of the sentence. Sometimes, okay, sometimes what can happen is you can get a para jumble and an odd sentence out question mix, a hybrid. Okay, sometimes that can happen. So if it is asked, you can put in the order as well by removing the odd sentence out. Now, how do you do that? Okay, how do you find the odd one out and how do you find the commonality between the sentences? So first of all, obviously it is best to find the commonality in all the paragraph. How do you find commonality? By reading all of the paragraph and first trying to find the opening sentence of the paragraph. ठीक है, हमने ये सेम चीज पैराजम्बल्स में भी की है. ठीक है, ओपनिंग सेंटेंस कंक्लूडिंग सेंटेंस कैसे ढूंढते हैं, फॉलोअर लीडर. सो please refer to those 2 sessions before you come to this session. Okay, it's very similar in theory. So the easiest way to figure out the commonality is to find out what is going on in the paragraph, find the topic of discussion and what the author is trying to convey. When you find the topic, you will figure out which are the sentences that have the subject in common. Okay, more importantly, more than the topic, if you can find the opening sentence, that will be wonderful. ठीक है, ओपनिंग सेंटेंस मिल जाता है तो टॉपिक वहीं होता है, इंट्रोड्यूस किया जाता है टॉपिक को, तो ब्रीफली एक्सप्लेन किया जाता है, तो आपके मेन आइडिया सर्टेन की एलिमेंट्स उसी ओपनिंग सेंटेंस में मिल जाएंगे. Then the topic can commonly be found in the opening sentence. Okay, wonderful, I've written it in the following line. Can be found in the opening sentence. To find the opening sentence, use the parajumbles technique. The opening sentence mostly chalks out the timeline of the events, the full names of the character, the idea upon which the whole paragraph is built upon in the succeeding sentences. ये सारी tricks हमने की थी. ठीक है, and the sentence which does not end abruptly with however and but. ठीक है? So kindly, there are more strategies and tricks to find them. Watch my previous sessions. Once the opening sentence is discovered, the rest of the sentences needs to be sorted out in order to find the link and connect them to form a paragraph. The sentence which cannot be connected or linked with any other sentences to be a part of the paragraph is usually the odd one out. अभी जब क्रोनोलॉजी पूछा ही नहीं है डालने को, तो क्यों मैं क्रोनोलॉजी सॉर्ट करूं? You might be wondering. See, the chronology will help you if you recall the last session. ठीक है, लास्ट सेशन में हम लोग पेयर्स बनाते थे. लास्ट सेशन यानी पैराजम्बल्स के सेशन में हम लोग पेयर्स बनाते थे कि सी और बी साथ में ही जाएंगे, ए और डी साथ में ही जाएंगे. ठीक है, क्योंकि इन दोनों में ये कॉमन है, इन दोनों में ये कॉमन है. फिर ई ओपनर है तो इधर आएगा, या ई एग्जाम्पल है तो इधर आ जाएगा, या ई कंक्लूजन है तो राइट. सो पेयर्स will help you in us finding the association between the two sentences. And if you can find one sentence that has no link to any other idea, to any other sentence, that is your odd one out. Okay, so hence पैराजम्बल्स की तरह भी इधर भी पेयर्स बनेंगे, इधर भी क्रोनोलॉजी बनेगा, और जिसका कोई पेयर नहीं है, जिसका कोई रेलेवेंस नहीं है, उसे हटा दिया जाएगा. Okay, another way of identifying the odd sentence is usually made to appear as a part of the paragraph to confuse the candidates. Obviously, as I mentioned, it's going to be very thematically similar. Cat का सवाल है, इतना easy नहीं होगा. वो जो sentence है ना, वो भी blend कर जाएगा paragraph में. So, but it will usually feature the same people involved or has the same broad theme as discussed. Okay, so technically ये सब same ही रहेगा उसका. बट फर्क कहाँ आएगा, कहाँ मुझे पता चलेगा कि ये ऑड वन आउट है? ओके, हो सकता है कि एक सेंटेंस में टेंस इनकंसिस्टेंट है, यानी 3 सेंटेंसेस पास्ट के बारे में बात कर रहे हैं कि पास्ट में लोग कम्युनिकेट कैसे करते थे, उसके एग्जाम्पल्स दिया है. ठीक है, उस पर ओपिनियन दिया है. फिर एक और चौथा है जो बता रहा है कि करंट सिचुएशन या करंट टाइम्स में हम लोग कैसे कम्युनिकेट करते हैं. राइट, सो टेंस बदल गया, टाइम बदल गया. 3 are old, talking about conventional methods, old methods of communicating. 1 is current, so that is the odd one out. Okay, 1 could be inconsistent tone. The para may be entirely formal or sometimes informal, and the misfit sentence will obviously have the opposite tone of all the sentences. So 3 to 4 will have common tone and 1 will have opposite tone. ठीक है, opposite tone यहाँ पता चल जाती है. Okay, यहाँ देखो, the opposite type. Here the para tries to prove one thing, the misfit tries to prove the opposite. This may seem easy to spot but is usually made difficult by making the opposition subtle. ठीक है, यानी पूरा सेंटेंस सही जा रहा है, फिर आ जाता है बीच में बट, फिर आ जाता है एक सेंटेंस में हाउएवर, डिस्पाइट दिस. ये जो कॉन्ट्ररी इंडिकेटर्स है ना, प्लीज लुक आउट फॉर देम. ये पलटी मारते हैं, यानी जो भी डिस्कस किया है उसी का ऑपोजिट डिस्कस होने वाला है इधर. सो दीज आर बिगेस्ट गिव अवेज ऑफ योर और सेंटेंस आउट. Then there's also the also type. The entire paragraph may talk about one thing a person or persons have been doing. The misfit may talk about completely different, something entirely different than the same people may have done. This is usually made difficult due to the commonality of people. Again, same theme, but it's talking about also. So it's a new feature, a new example, a new piece of evidence. Also डाल दिया है, सटली छुपा दिया है, क्योंकि बात तो पीपल की हो रही है या एक सर्टेन कीवर्ड की हो रही है. So kindly be careful of also and opposite type sentences. Okay, these were common ways to identify odd sentence out. Let us take a quick example. All right, let us take a quick example. I see some of you are here, so let us take a couple of minutes. Okay, let me give you guys 5 minutes to just tell me what is the odd sentence out here. सिर्फ 4 सेंटेंस दिया है, 5 भी नहीं. 4 sentences, as mentioned, you can get minimum 4 sentences and maximum 5 sentences for odd one out question. So out of the 4 sentences, which one is the odd one out? Okay. All right. Your time is up. So chalo, let's discuss. Okay. This was an example. Before I would have given away the answer, I wanted you to try. ठीक है, नहीं समझा तो कोई बात नहीं. Let me explain it. Okay. I will solve it how I would ideally solve it in the paper. So I'll just quickly go through all the sentences. After going through all the sentences, which I did with you, I found some common themes. I found theme of freedom and man. So it's man's freedom. That's what all the 4 sentences are pointing towards. So first one says, in spite of death, the mark and seal of the parental control, man is yet free. Yani death और माँ बाप के अलावा, माँ बाप उनके कंट्रोल के अलावा, मैन इज फ्री. His freedom enjoyed during his brief years to examine, to criticize, to know, and in imagination to create. Okay, so क्या होता है उसके freedom का, ये सब. Then the freedom, however, is often exploited by man to rule all the other species on the earth. And then last sentence, to him alone in the world with which he is acquainted, this freedom belongs. So I can see the commonality is about freedom in man. So I need to find 3 sentences that are talking about freedom and man only. ठीक है, टेक्निकली सारे ही बात कर रहे हैं, बट एक थोड़ा सा अलग है. One is introducing the theme. Alright. Second one is again talking about man and freedom and how his freedom is used. Fourth one is again talking about man and freedom and where it belongs. To him alone in the world which he is acquainted, this freedom belongs. Okay. So only to this person this freedom belongs. Look at sentence 3. This freedom, however. ये है वो बट वाला कॉन्ट्रडिक्शन. राइट, मैंने कहा था ना, जब पलटी मारेगा ऑथर, जब कुछ कॉन्ट्रडिक्ट करना चाहेगा, तो वो सेंटेंस मोस्ट प्रोबेबली ऑड वन आउट है. 1, 2 और 4 में मैन एंड फ्रीडम एंड उसका क्या बेनिफिट है या उसका क्या यूज है उसकी बात हो रही है. थर्ड में इट्स कम्प्लीटली डिफरेंट. The freedom, however, is often exploited by man to rule all the other species on earth. Right? Now, here it's not talking about freedom of a man. Okay, it's talking about a completely different thing. Here, the whole element was man and freedom, and statement 3 is talking about freedom of other species, which then man exploits to control. So, this is the contradiction that statement 3 is trying to highlight, and clearly that is the odd one out. So, this is how you ideally solve a odd one out sentence question. Okay? So, here 3 was a clear contradiction. This reverse technique only works when you are aware of what is going on in the paragraph thoroughly. मैंने सेम चीज पैराजम्बल्स में भी बताई थी. बिफोर अटेम्प्टिंग द क्वेश्चन जस्ट टेक फ्यू मिनट्स टू गो थ्रू द पैराग्राफ. अगर पैराग्राफ का मेन आइडिया समझ आ रहा है, अगर पैराग्राफ का लैंग्वेज समझ आ रहा है, उसकी लैंग्वेज समझ आ रहा है, only then go ahead and attempt it. Otherwise, don't waste your time. Similarly, in odd sentence out also, if you can understand what is going on, if you can understand the key elements, okay, the paragraph language structure, only then go ahead and attempt it. Otherwise, please save your time and put it somewhere else. You know subject matter of the discussion. ठीक है, जब ये सब पता है तो ही करो. You cannot find the odd sentence out just on the basis of a minor difference. Okay, do not assume the odd sentence. ये बट लगा है तो यही होगा पक्का, इधर however लगा है तो ये पक्का होगा. This is not a hard and fast rule, does not go for all cases. I am saying these are good giveaways, they are good indicators to find and spot the odd one out. हर केस में ये नहीं होता है. So kindly do not attempt the question without fully understanding the paragraph. That is it. Okay, तो फटाफट से summarize करें. Step 1 is to finding the main theme. How does one find the main theme? By finding the opener, by finding the opening sentence. But however वाले opening sentence हो ही नहीं सकते. So we'll first find the opening sentence. Then we will find the one connection which gives you a reason to single out a misfit. Okay. After finding the main idea, you will understand what the elements are linked with, and then what one element or what one sentence stands out. Last, put the rest of the paragraph together by eliminating the misfit. Now, this is important because again, once you are done removing it, you need to still check if your answer is correct or not. Same technique parajumbles mein bhi tha. Once before locking the answer in, please check if your answer is correct or not. Alright, this was the basic theory, basic approach to sentence elimination. Yeah, pick the odd sentence out. Okay. To ace questions like this, it's always better to practice as many questions as you can. So today I have a good number of questions for you, sourced from previous year papers or two IIMs. Okay, so they're good level of questions. ठीक है? Before I give the answer away, I would love to give you 5 minutes before. So take those 5 minutes, solve the question, and then we'll solve it together. I'll just write the timestamp here so you can follow that. ठीक है, अभी हम 5 स्टेटमेंट पे लीप मार भी नहीं रहे हैं. We are sticking to solving 4 statements and picking the odd one out here. So try to find the odd sentence out in these given statements. All right, 5 minutes up. Now let's do it together. Okay, how does one ideally approach a question like this? One just quickly reads through and goes through all the sentences. Okay, first, it came as something of a surprise when scientists determined that human beings share almost 99% of the genetic material with chimpanzees. Second, pre human bipeds predated stone tools, which appeared approximately 2.5 million years ago. Third, despite all that is held in common, however, the differences are crucial and allow humans to be allotted their own genus and species, Homo sapiens. Fourth, this led one scientific journalist to refer to humans as the third chimpanzee. Chindi question. Quite an easy one. I can see the repetition of chimpanzees and humans and their similarity and differences. ठीक है? For example, look at third one में differences बताया है, but fourth one में जो first वाले में similarities है उस पे build up किया है. Right? So if I had to make pair 1 and 4 would be a pair, and then third one could be a contradiction. Second कहीं fit आ भी नहीं रहा है, right? It does not fit to anything. Second one says pre-human bipeds predated stone tools which appeared approximately 2.5 years ago. So pre-human bipeds यानी जो दो पैरों पे चलते थे, right? तो ये stone tool से पहले आए, again has no connection to chimpanzees and human beings, their similarities, their differences, okay, nothing. It talks about the origin of a whole different species that actually is not even connected, right? It is connected in the sense you can say it's the evolution of chimpanzees to humans, how chimpanzees became human beings, but does not still talk about similarity and differences. So the second one will be the odd one out because the focus is not neither one of those, but talks about the period of origin and yes, just talks about the period of origin. So the odd one out is the second one. If that was your answer, good job. Okay, try the next question. Again, four statements only. Let me give you guys 5 minutes for this one as well. ये क्वेश्चंस को मास्टर करने का तरीका सिर्फ अपना लॉजिक लगाना है, ठीक है, अपना नॉलेज ऑफ स्ट्रक्चर, लैंग्वेज स्ट्रक्चर, पैराग्राफ स्ट्रक्चर, ग्रामर का है, ठीक है. वंस यू एस दैट you can definitely take out a good number of questions, and that comes through practice, comes with a lot of practice. So please verbal ability जो है काफी ज्यादा प्रैक्टिस करो, सिर्फ मैथ और एल क्वांट और LRDR में नहीं, सभी सेक्शंस में प्रैक्टिस लगती है. सो when the basic theory is out of the question, start practicing. ठीक है, practice this question now. Hi Avi, you've asked if this will help you for GMAT. I have never taught GMAT, so I'm not sure if question like or sentence out is something that comes in GMAT. What I have heard is you usually get RCs in GMAT. Can you please confirm if you get questions like this in GMAT? Para jumbles, odd sentence out, para completion. GMAT का वर्बल सिलेबस और कैट का वर्बल सिलेबस अलग है. दोनों में आरसीज आते हैं, करेक्ट, बट वीए के क्वेश्चंस अलग आते हैं. What I can see is verbal reasoning का syllabus ही अलग है. It's talking about strengthening, weakening, flaws. So आपको critical reasoning आएगा, not this. If you want for prep, I think you should watch the RC sessions where we are discuss intro, basic approach, strategies. Try those. Okay, time is up. Let's do it together now. Okay, not a very difficult question. If you would understood the crux of it. What is the crux? This is a country where the leader of the ruling party, the Speaker of the lower house of parliament, at least three chief ministers, and a number of sports and business icons are women. It is also a country where a generation of newly empowered young women are going out to work in large numbers than ever before. It is the early days yet, but one hopes these are the first stirrings of change. Fourth, Trust Law, a news service run by Thomson, has ranked India as the worst G20 country in which to be a woman. So, the one commonality that I can find between all of these sentences is just talking about the state of women and specifically the state of women in India. Okay, that is then see. Let us try to find an opener. Definitely, this is the opener. Has ranked India as the worst G20 country in which to be a woman. This is contradicted by a couple of examples. The first one statement says this is a country where, okay, so this is the country points out to a specific country, which is India. Hence, one is not a follower, one is not a leader, it's a follower. So, four could be your opener. Then potentially one. This is a country where the leader of the ruling party and the speaker of the lower house of parliament, at least three chief ministers, and a number of sport and business icons are women. Okay. Then it is also a country, comes after obviously, so it should be one and two. It is also a country where generation of newly empowered young women are going out to work in large number than ever before. Again, talks about something positive about being a woman in the country. Third, it is early days yet, but one hopes that these are the first stirrings of change. So, what are the first stirrings of change mentioned in 1 and 2? ठीक है, कैसे बदलाव आ रहा है, कहाँ कहाँ बदलाव आ रहा है, इधर मेंशन है. So third is obviously your concluder. This is also talking about something positive about the state of women in India. So all one, two, three are talking about being positive traits of being a woman in India. Only fourth one, only statement four, जिसका कोई पैर नहीं है. मैंने बताया था ना, पैर्स बनाओगे, लिंक्स बनाओगे, फटाफट आंसर मिलेगा. सो 1 2 का पैर है, और 3 भी 1 2 के साथ ही जाता है, क्योंकि 1 और 2 को कंक्लूड करता है 3. 4 का कुछ लेना देना नहीं है except for contradiction. Although it is a part of the paragraph, it is being contradicted by 3 of these points. So the answer for this should be statement 4. Trust Law, a new service run by Thomson, has ranked India as the worst G20 country in which to be a woman. Okay, this is the only sentence that is talking about the negative connotation or the negative aspect of being a woman in India. Hence the odd one out. Okay, not very difficult, quite an easy one. Let's up the ante. Let's do one more. Okay, now this is a narrative. ये स्टोरी है, ये कहानी है. हमने पैराजम्बल्स में भी नैरेटिव किए थे, इसमें भी नैरेटिव आता है. All right, it is time. 5 minutes over. Let's do it together now. Okay. नैरेटिव पैसेजेस जो होते हैं यूजुअली पढ़ने में बहुत इजी होते हैं क्योंकि उनमें कहानी होती है तो फटाफट से लिंक भी बन जाता है. ठीक है. इजी भी होता है इमेजिन करने में कि क्या चल रहा है. सो narrative passages are usually very easy to understand, but they are hard in the sense you because पूरा लिंक है, पूरा क्रोनोलॉजी ऑर्डर है, तो इसमें ऑड वन आउट कौन सा होगा नहीं समझता. So let us see in this paragraph how to find out the odd one out. Statement 1. For a day that had begun so ill, the day passed fairly well. We had the porridge cold again at noon, and then hot porridge at night. Porridge and small beer was my uncle's diet. Sorry. Porridge and small beer was my uncle's diet. Third, he spoke but little, and that in the same way as before, shooting a question at me after a long silence, and when I sought to lead him to talk about my future, slipped out of it again. Fourth, one thing I discovered which put me in some doubt. Okay, now if I had to put this in an order, obviously, first I have to begin the day, which is happening in the first one. The day passed fairly well. Then we had porridge. Then he spoke a little during the lunch or dinner. And then, yeah, I think this is the right order. 1, 2, 3, 4 should be the ideal order for this. Right now, as you can see, 1, 2, and 3 are talking about the day and day's events. कि क्या चला दिन में और क्या क्या हो रहा है. ठीक है, सब बात हो रही है कि एज यूजुअल यही चलता था. ठीक है. 2 में भी मेरे अंकल की डाइट यूजुअली यही रहती है, और थर्ड में भी यूजुअली बात हम लोग ऐसे ही करते हैं. सी इन द सेम वे एज बिफोर. जो पहले के 3 हैं वो बहुत ही रूटीन सेंटेंसेस हैं, बहुत ही सेंटेंसेस रूटीन पे बता रहे हैं. सिर्फ फोर्थ सेंटेंस है जो बोल रहा है वन थिंग आई डिस्कवर्ड विच पुट मी इन सम डाउट. Okay, what did the person discover? We don't know, but this is clearly something that is out of routine. So the odd one out is clearly fourth. ठीक है. 1, 2 और 3 आपस में पेयर्स हैं, फोर्थ का कोई भी पेयर नहीं है, कोई भी पार्टनर नहीं है, इसलिए the odd one out here should be sentence 4. ठीक है. नाउ एक और चीज है, एक कॉमन मिसकंसेप्शन दैट इंट्रोज या कंक्लूजन ही और सेंटेंस आउट होते हैं. Wrong. Okay, sometimes a middle sentence can also be an odd one out. Okay, this middle sentence could be a contradiction. This middle sentence could be the also statement introducing a new element. This sentence could also be an example. ठीक है, कभी कभी एग्जाम्पल्स भी ऑड वन आउट हो सकते हैं. सो जरूरी नहीं है ओपनर या कंक्लूडर ही ऑड वन आउट होना चाहिए. उस बेसिस पे डोंट पिक योर आंसर्स. just pick it on what sentence is least thematically connected या फिर least thematically relevant. सिर्फ इसी बेसिस पे आप आंसर उठाएंगे. least connected. ठीक है. let us do one more. ठीक है. 4 statements only. Please take 5 minutes to solve the question before I give the answer away. Good evening, Vatsal. Um, you've joined quite early. Yes, odd one out find करना है. Okay, 4 sentences. इसमें से odd one out कौन सा है? Before jumping to solving the question, please quickly watch the theory or revise the theory. वरना उसके बिना थोड़ा प्रॉब्लम होगा. चलो साथ में करें. For the people who attempted, I hope you got an answer. Okay, because this is very easy. काफी सिंपल क्वेश्चन है ये. ठीक है. टेक्निकली चारों एक ही चीज के बारे में बात कर रहे हैं. दे ऑल हैव वन कॉमन थीम. व्हाट इज दैट कॉमन थीम? दैट वन कॉमन थीम बीइंग मल्टीटास्किंग. Okay, A says we don't actually do 2 or 3 things or 10 things at once. We just switch from one to another to another. B, multitasking makes us demonstrably efficient, increasing cognitive performance. C, each time we shift attention, there's a metabolic cost we pay in glucose. D, some brain activities are more expensive than others, and switching attention is among the most expensive. Okay? So, ideally, if I look at it as a parajumble question, because first I need to understand the chronology of statements, I can see a pair here. Pair on the basis of cost. Okay? Each time we shift attention, there is a metabolic cost we pay in glucose. What is that cost? Explained in D. So C and D are a pair. Okay, it's talking about कि जब आप बदलना चाहते हैं, आप थोड़ा सा प्राइस पे करते हैं उसके लिए. बट इसका मेरे को ओपनर ढूंढना पड़ेगा. A sentence that introduces this element or these sentences are A. Right, so A should come here. Right, this is a perfect opener. We don't actually do 2 or 3 or 10 things at once. We just switch from one to another to another. Then B, multitasking makes us demonstrably efficient, increasing cognitive performance. Where to put it depends on the connotation of the sentence. Okay, and the other 2 sentences. A is sort of an opener. It tells you what the paragraph is about. C and D talks about the negative aspects. देखो, each time we shift attention, there's a metabolic cost we pay in glucose. What is their metabolic cost? Some brain activities are more expensive than others, and switching attention is among the most expensive. So all actually even A is talking about the same. We're not actually doing 10 or 3 things at once. We just keep switching from one to another. So all the sentences A, C, and D are discussing the negative aspects of multitasking. कि मल्टीटास्किंग में आप सारी चीजें ढंग से नहीं कर रहे हो, आप सिर्फ एक से एक स्विच कर रहे हो, and you are paying a price for it. As you can clearly see, it is sentence B that is the odd one out, because it's the only sentence that's actually talking something positive. about multitasking. None of them are talking about positive, they are all focusing on negative. सिर्फ यही positive पे है. Hence, this is the odd one out. Okay, does not necessarily have to be the opener, the concluder. This sentence could fit in anywhere because this is a new element, or it's an element of its own. It could fit anywhere. Okay, it could fit at the end or after A also. But because it talks about a completely different idea even within the theme, the sentence that is odd one out here is statement B. Okay, it was definitely a very easy question. Okay, not something that has to be pull your hair for. Alright, चार statements जब भी होते हैं, जब भी चार statements वाला odd one out दिखे, go for it. ठीक है, go for it. You have one less statement to eliminate, one less statement to not eliminate. ठीक है, 4 statement वाला odd one out, very approachable. What we will be transitioning to is the 5 odd sentence out elimination. So before we bid farewell, I want you to uh, take this as a homework. Okay, please try to attempt this homework. Again, only 4 statements. ठीक है, इसी में से आपको एक odd one out ढूंढना है. This is a PYQ. So please try to attempt the question with full honesty, and you know where to put the answers. Kindly put the answers in the comment section so I can know if your answer choice is correct or not. In the next session, my focus will be practice on more PYQs and more 5 statement odd sentence out. So please make sure to join the session. The next session will be held on, we have 2 sessions next week. If you guys are around, I'll let you know. We have one session obviously अपना as usual Friday तो है ही, अपना एक और session है कल next week, which will be on Thursday. So we have two sessions next week, Thursday and Friday. On Thursday we will practice the 5 statement odd sentence out. On Friday I am planning to do a mixed practice of all the verbal ability question. So I will bring in all different type of question. सारे करेंगे हम लोग, पैरा जंबल, पैरा समरी, पैरा कंप्लीशन और ये चौथा सेंटेंस एलिमिनेशन, उसका मिक्स प्रैक्टिस, गुड लेवल ऑफ डिफिकल्टी ऑफ कोर्स. ठीक है, साथ में करेंगे. So please make sure to join both these sessions. All right, this is pretty much it from my end. All right, I'm going to end the session here. Thank you so much for the people who've stuck till the end. All right, I hope to see you guys next week, all of you.